Okay, so members of the audience who are participating in the multiplayer aspect of the show, who have submitted their own characters onto our roster, they had an opportunity to submit actions for day 7, honing skills. They had an opportunity to choose which skills they wanted their character to hone, as well as anything else that I should know. For some context, Verdane the Veil, our rogue witch on our roster, chose to hone their Shadow Walker skill. And to my knowledge, Shadow Walker, in addition to their ability to manipulating shadows, Shadow Walker allows them to pretty much occupy the shadow space, the shadow subspace. And again, this is more so a proficiency in the ability of mingling within the shadow subspaces. It is knowledge. She knows how to do this, and she wants to hone that skill. And by hone, she's going to display it. She's going to use it, stay sharp on the skill, in hopes of potentially benefiting herself and or the party. Obviously, we're all getting prepared to battle the hatred-imbued living stone. Let's see what Verdane the Veil is saying about this skill. Verdane and the hatred-imbued living stone both share a deep connection to darkness. Because Verdane is no match for the stone in the material world, Verdane is attempting to gain deeper mastery over shadow walking. She wants to achieve stability of existence in the darkness between. Achieve stability, okay? Where she believes she may be able to confront the hateful essence of the creature on more equal footing when the time comes for the rematch. Okay, so Verdane's goal is to dabble in the shadow walking ability so that when it comes time to face off against this entity that is physically impenetrable, I mean, it's made of stone, so for most people that is a problem, but spiritually on the inside we know its core is occupied by a human being that it is using to stay tethered to our plane. That human being is that prisoner that I had locked up myself. I locked him in the Moonlit Bastion. He was a murderer. I locked him up, and he ended up being a component for the hatred-imbued living stone, to allow it to tether itself to our plane, as well as the dream plane where it's from. So it's kind of has 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And in one of our last sessions, we all learned, as we planned and delved deeper into the lore of this creature, we learned that is how that creature is staying on our plane, and that if we can get to its core, which is this person, we may be able to destroy this creature and or its ability to occupy our plane. She's saying that if she can learn to occupy the subspace of the shadows, maybe she'd be able to approach this creature, approach this creature's vulnerability, which is this person, and maybe bypass its hard, stony exterior. So let's see what happens. Let's see if Verdane is able to do that. Shadow Walker. Using her long cape to shroud herself, Verdane can sink into the shadows and walk in the darkness between. Some kind of shadowy subspace. Let's see what event is taking place that will involve Verdane's shadow walking ability so that she can get some proficiency in this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to roll the theme for the adventure type, rolling a d10. 4. Tension. Alright, I'm gonna roll a couple plot points. number from left to right. 1, 34, 25. 1 is blank, diminishment, crime. I'm going to interpret this as, because her focus, and now we all know the core of this creature is that prisoner. That prisoner is a murderer that I locked up. He committed a crime and I locked him up. So I'm going to interpret this as she wants to diminish that target, that criminal. She wants to diminish that criminal. So she is going to focus on, because so much is riding on our ability to take out its core. So far, that's really the only way we know how to defeat this thing. And so much is riding on it, and I feel like Verdane is going to focus her shadow walking ability for the purpose of infiltrating this creature's stony exterior, and that's going to be her focus. So this session is going to be solely her honing the shadow walk ability, learning and mastering this ability, and training and honing this particular ability, so when it comes time to face off, she'll know how to do it. And so I imagine it's going to be a lot of training, a lot of trial and error, figuring out the ins and outs. And another thing is, she has brushed with this creature before. We all have. So she'll be able to gauge how much effort she needs and how effective she'll be just based off of her experience with this creature. She knows how much is enough and how much is not enough.
The rogue witch Verdane the Veiled paces like a caged panther, her eyes ablaze with determination. The hatred-imbued living stone looms large in her mind, a monstrous entity she knows must be vanquished. Verdane's mind races, considering all the angles of attack and the allies by her side. She fingers an ancient grimoire, its pages filled with knowledge of shadowy whispers from generations past. The solution she seeks lies within the darkness, a skill she's on the cusp of mastering and must now refine to perfection. The art of the shadow walk. A faint smile flickers across her face, reflecting the mercy within her heart. She contemplates sparing the wretched human component enslaved by the malevolent entity, if possible. For beneath her steely resolve lies compassion, a trait seldom found in those who tread the master plane. With precise clarity, Verdane declares her target, for there was no other way around it. To dismantle the hatred-imbued living stone's hold on our world, she must venture beyond the veil into the shadowy subspace. Therein lies the tether that keeps the monster anchored, and there, too, shall she find the key to salvation. Her perceptive nature serves her well. Dissecting the challenge like a surgeon with a scalpel, she understands the intricate layers of her foe, recognizing the bond between the human soul and the living stone. The knowledge empowers her, but she knows she cannot underestimate the darkness she faces. Thus, with unwavering determination, Verdane commits herself to honing her skill. She retrieves her cloak, its inky blackness swirling around her, and prepares to spend the evening adorned in it, silently preparing for the confrontation ahead. For in the depths of her soul, Verdane knows that only by mastering her ability to shadow walk can she penetrate the formidable exterior of the hatred-imbued living stone and reach the human component, in hope of delivering him from the clutches of malevolence. The path ahead is perilous, yet she strides forth with resolve, ready to embrace the shadows and become their master.
And because this theme is tension, in order for her to really hone this skill, she's going to need to put herself in a little bit of danger. She is going to approach the moonlit bastion at a distance, but as close as she can, where she can practice shadow walking within the aura of it. She's going to submerge herself in its dark energies again and so that she can test and practice, because she can't. Yes, she can practice shadow walking at the tavern, but this creature is made of all of our darkness. She needs to practice and train amidst that darkness. So she's going to get as close as she can without engaging in the Moonlit Bastion, but she's going to approach the Moonlit Bastion as close as she can to where she can start to practice shadow walking amongst the darkness of the shadows that envelop that area. Just this is the closest she can get. You know, she may even practice with living stone creatures that spawn from the Moonlit Bastion. She may practice shadow walking with them. And I think what the worst case scenario is if I recall her having to protect herself, her sanity, when we were all engulfed in the darkness in the dream world. And the goal is to see if she can do this without getting lost, because I think if she plunges herself too deep into the darkness, she may get lost physically and or mentally. And the goal is to be able to have control of herself, be able to safely enter and exit the shadows without being pulled into some sort of dream realm, right? So Verdane is going to approach the Moonlit Bastion, which is dangerous, and that's where the tension comes into play. You know, will she be able to remain safe? Will she be able to accomplish this without without her getting hurt? These are some of the questions I'm going to need to ask. First question is, before the main question of if she is, you know, what her findings are. The first question is will she be able to do this? And by this, will she be able to approach the Moonlit Bastion area and train amongst the darkness there with whatever living stone creatures are around? Is she able to do this without being harmed? Without being harmed. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to roll her skill of Shadow Walker, which is high rank, against the difficulty of this. And for her, going alone, I'm going to say that the difficulty, we'll leave it at average. We'll leave it at average. She has a lot of control over how close she is to it. We'll say the difficulty that could yield good results, she's going to have to get a little bit closer to really get a feel of the difficulty. She's going to need to get a little close. I'm going to say the difficulty is average. It's going to be her high versus average. So it's going to be her high rank versus a difficulty of average. She'll need anything under 75. .61. So she's definitely able to do this without any issues.
In the haunting outskirts of the Moonlit Bastion, Verdane embarked on a relentless quest to refine her mastery of the Shadow Walk. The moon's ethereal glow painted her surroundings with an eerie luminescence as she engaged several living stone. With claws poised to strike and psychic assaults aimed to subdue, they relentlessly pursued her. Yet she moved like a ghostly apparition, a phantom blending seamlessly with the shadows. Hours blurred into one another, but Verdane's determination remained unwavering as she danced under the pale moonlight, her inky black cloak billowing like a raven's wings. Through relentless practice, and with the moon as her silent witness, Verdane became an enigma in the eyes of her enemy. But the question of how this would unfold in a battle with their maker remained a mystery. Was it possible to create an opening to strike beyond the physical? With knowledge gathered, there was no better time than now to test her theory.
The next question is, and probably one of the biggest questions, is does a technique even exist that will allow her to Is she able, not is she able to discover, not is she able to perform the technique, but is it even possible? Sometimes you have to ask fate questions to see if something's even possible. It's all unknown. We're going to ask the fate question: is it even possible that she would be able to utilize the shadows in such a way that will allow her to bypass the creature's stony structure and get and go into its darkness to reach? You know, we don't even know where this being is. Is it in the middle of the creature? Is it within? Is the person being held in the moonlit bastion somewhere? And the creature just draws energy from it. We don't know. But when it comes down to it, and it finally comes time to discover where this thing is, just if it is somewhere buried within darkness, is she able to, like, are these shadows the same as the darkness of the creature? You know what I mean? Like, there's shadows, but then there's the darkness. Is she able to, because we are connected, it is connected to us, is she able to take that component, manipulate it in such a way so that she can treat it like the way she can treat shadows? Is it even possible? I'm going to say, I'm leaning towards 50-50 because it's unknown, but I'm going to say, for the sake of the context and the other components, such as it's connected to us, it's connected to the darkness in our hearts, and that darkness in turn is shadow, I'm going to say likely that she can use this darkness and treat it the same way she treats shadows. I'm going to say likely. Let me go ahead and pull up the fate chart. I'm going to say likely. With the chaos factor of 5, I'm going to say likely. Anything under a 65. Anything under a 65. Six. Is that an exceptional yes? That might be an exceptional yes. That's an exceptional yes. She can absolutely treat this darkness like shadow, and it doesn't take her long to realize this. Now it's just a matter of designing the technique that she's going to use. And that's kind of hard to do without knowing where exactly this creature is. But I'm sure she'll have some plans. She'll have some backup plans and some, some countermeasures. So when that moment arrives, she'll know what to do and how to do it. What is it exactly that what is the technique that she learns and the methods that she goes about it? What does this look like? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to roll actions. I'm going to roll in the action table, and then I'm going to roll description. This is going to be my action and description. 71 action, 17 description. Postpone, defeated. Postpone, defeated. It is revealed to Verdane that there is a moment where they seem to be vulnerable, and there is an opening where one could infiltrate using the shadows. And Verdane has discovered, postpone, defeated, that she is going to have to wait and postpone her attack, be on standby, undetectable, until that moment happens, and then she can go in. So maybe the creature needs to be weakened or defeated before she can go in and defeat it. Either or. The next question is, what does this moment of exposure look like? Inform generously. These creatures telegraph that moment. In their actions, there is a moment that is obvious because they telegraph it so. That is the ideal moment where one with the ability to manipulate the shadows could infiltrate the creature's exterior. Now, mind you, the living stone is very different from the hatred-imbued living stone, but it can't be that much. So this information that she's getting, technically can be applied to the hatred-imbued living stone. This is what we know now. That can change. These are just theories, and we're working with what we have. But there is a particular thing. There is a moment there's a telegraphed moment where, for some reason, they are exposed, and is an opportunity for Verdane to use the shadows to bypass the creature's stony exterior. And if I had to guess, it's going to have to involve the moonlight. What does this look like? Let's get a description of what exactly that moment is and looks like. I'm going to roll twice on the creature action table to figure out at what point is this opportune moment arriving. When this creature does this action is when it's the opportune time. We would need to be able to get the creature to do this particular action so that Verdane has an opportunity to infiltrate. I'm going to roll twice on the creature action table. 94, 90. Trick. Take. I'm going to interpret this as if these creatures, or the hatred-imbued living stone and these creatures, they wish to take their prisoners, they wish to take their captives and imprison them. We know the living stone creatures take their captives and imprison them in the moonlit bastion so that they can absorb and siphon their life energy. The hatred-imbued living stone wants to do the same thing. It wants to imprison us in its dream world. The opportune moment is going to come when the hatred-imbued living stone is in the process of taking someone. Then and only then, once it opens the gateway to the dream world, is when Verdane can infiltrate the darkness and potentially search for that core individual, that core entity, and kill it. And she learns this because whenever, in her training with these creatures, whenever they have an opportunity to capture her or try to capture her, she notices a gateway open. She notices, because she can see the darkness and the shadows, she notices that they become, there's some sort of phase that occurs. Maybe because they draw their power to capture their enemies from this shadow, this dream realm, that she sort of senses it and notices that they draw and tap in. When they tap into that energy, they sort of become a beacon, which is one step closer to the dream world, the shadow world. And when they tap into that power, they are then sort of exposed. Now, we've only seen these creatures perform a few actions. Now we know that when they perform these abilities and these spells, they're tapping into another realm and opening themselves up as a result. And Verdane learns that in her training, with these creatures, and we hope that the hatred imbued living stone operates similarly.
In the heat of the skirmish, Verdane the Veiled's perceptive eyes catch a flicker of vulnerability amidst the living stone's relentless pursuit. A momentary opening arises during their casting, a link to the dream plane that her shadow-woven senses discern. She deftly baits them into unleashing their paralyzing shrieks. Time and again, her movements fluid and precise. Her heart races with the weight of her discovery, her affinity for shadows granting her a glimpse into their inner workings. The living stone remains unaware, but Verdane knows she holds the key to infiltrating the realm from which they draw power. In the darkness, she awaits the opportune instant when the moon's gaze favors her, and the dream plane beckons her shadow-walking prowess. Every encounter reaffirms her theory, driving her resolve to pierce the living stone's secrets, transcending the tangible. Verdane was ready. For when the time came to face the abomination responsible for these manifestations, she'd walk directly toward her prey.
What about, okay, we have a submission from Maven, our rogue archer. Maven is going to be honing his mysterious weapon, his proficiency with the mysterious weapon. Maven says Maven wants to train his own archery skills, but the mysterious weapon interferes with those efforts. As if he doesn't need to, as long as he has the bow and the magic hand it manifests. Who will be the victor? So what Maven is saying here is that Maven wants to train his own archery skills, right? Have power and will over his own body, but the bow doesn't seem to think that that is important, because the bow not only provides him the arm to fire the bow, but also provides him, I'm assuming, the skill with the bow. It sort of controls itself. It controls him. And Maven seems to be contending over control over his own body. He wants to train, the bow doesn't want him to train. So, the question comes down to Maven's skill with the bow is exceptional. But is that his skill controlling the bow is exceptional? Or is that the bow itself with the exceptional rank and its control over Maven? And I think that this honing skill session is going to really clear the line, because it's kind of blurry there as to who is in control. So this is going to be very important. Maven versus the bow. Who will be the victor?
In the dim light of dawn, Maven stood alone, the weight of determination etched on his face. Today, he sought to hone his archery skills, but the cursed bow he possessed loomed like a shadow in his mind. Its sinister influence had become an intimate struggle, a sinister symbiosis that granted him a construct arm, allowing him to wield the bow with uncanny precision. The internal battle raged within him as he weighed the desire to train against the bow's whispered influence, coaxing him into believing it rendered practice futile. The construct arm, an unnatural extension, offered innate prowess that tempted him to forego training altogether. Maven's mind churned, seeking a solution amidst this entangled paradox. His occult wisdom provided no easy answers, for this cursed bond defied conventional reason. He knew that yielding to the bow's persuasion could tether him further to its malevolent grip. As the pale sun inched higher, Maven stood at the crossroads of resolve, the gravity of his decision as heavy as the cursed bow itself. He knew he must find a way to reclaim agency, to train despite the bow's unnatural gifts, lest he become a mere puppet to its sinister desires. For in the realm of shadows and cursed artifacts, only a steely will and unyielding spirit could transcend the darkness and regain control of his destiny.
Let's see what kind of event is taking place with that will involve him honing this skill. I'm going to roll a d10 to get an idea of the theme. Three. That's tension as well. This is going to be a tension-filled event taking place. Let's roll some plot points now. $63, $73, $43. Recurrence, risky, guarded. I'm going to interpret this as Maven is going to attempt to seize control over this bow that seems to be getting in the way. And this is very risky. This is very risky, right? Because this is something that is attached to him. This is something that he, I don't want to say needs, but uses. It gives him, and it took his arm, it replaced his arm, and without it, he's not much of an archer. So it is a risk to sort of literally bite the arm that defends you. But he's going to, because something has to give, right? It's a recurring issue that he's dealing with, and I think Maven had enough. Maven wants to guard the control that he has over himself. The bow wants to guard the control it has over Maven. Something has to give, and so this is going to be a battle of mind over matter. Is Maven equipped to deal with that? Well, Maven has the abilities of his exceptional rank is the mysterious weapon, but that's not a deciding factor now, because we don't know if the mysterious weapon is exceptionally well at controlling him or if he's exceptionally well at controlling it. Now that we know that it is sentient, just through story building. But Maven has high rank intuition, which should come in handy in his innate awareness of himself and what his limits are. And he has above average occult knowledge, which should provide him everything he needs to diagnose his situation with this supernatural weapon. That, between those two ranks alone, I'm giving him a 2 rank shift bonus to the odds of to the odds of him overcoming this sentient weapon's control over him, and being able to finally seize control over the bow, just enough to be able to train in his archery, which will also set a precedence going forward in case something, of course, unless something crazy happens with a particular type of roll or some chaos. The odds of him overcoming this bow for the purpose of training is what this entire session is going to be about, this honing skill. In a way, he's honing multiple skills here. Will he be able to seize control? I'm going to say, normally I would say the odds of that are somewhat unlikely, a little bit less than 50-50. I'm giving him a +2 rank shift because of his knowledge and his intuition. I'm going to say that it is likely that he is able to overcome the bow's power over him so he can train. And this tension-filled session is going to be him dealing with that internally. It's going to be very mental. He might even go somewhere alone to deal with his demons. This bow, he doesn't want people to see him struggling with it, so he'll probably go off alone somewhere as well. Let's ask the question: is Maven able to overcome? I'm going to say likely. I'm going to say the odds of that are likely. Let's go ahead and take a look here. I'm actually going to increase the chaos factor to 6 because of how volatile the bow is, and he's actively squaring off with it. And this bow, just fairly recently, has had him on a hunt for another person. So, this bow currently is it's really acting up, which is why I want to increase the chaos factor to 6. I'm going to say it's likely anything under a 75. Anything under a 75 is what he'll need to get control over this bow so that he can train in peace. And again, this sets a precedence.
Alone, in the secluded embrace of nature, Maven faced his internal struggle. The mysterious bow's sinister influence tempted him to rely solely on the construct arm for archery, its sibilant whispers urging him to turn back to the tavern and seek the faceless samurai. Intuition clashed with impulsive desire. Sweat trickled as he fought for autonomy. The burden of choice weighed heavy. The true mental battle had begun, and in the depths of his soul, he knew victory awaited those who could conquer their own shadows.
Here we go. Anything under a 75.
Maven focused his mind like a blade, shutting out the bow's tempting whispers. He delved into the deepest reserves of his strange wisdom, seeking strength from within. Aware of the boundaries of his own heart and mind, he begins raveling the bow's malevolent grip. With sheer determination, he visualized breaking the cursed bond with his bare hands. Each thought was a hammer strike against its influence. He channeled his impulsive nature into monstrous defiance, refusing to be ensnared. Suddenly, within this psychological battleground, Maven emerged victorious, reclaiming his autonomy like a phoenix rising from darkness. The cursed bow's influence waned, and he stood, resolute and unshackled, ready to master archery on his own terms. Bathed in moonlight, the cursed tool bore witness to the power of Maven's sheer will and the triumph of mind over malevolence. And for now, the weapon had lost its grasp over the determined rogue.
That's good. I really want Maven to get control, because, that can be something that can go very wrong in any moment. And him getting control over that bow means that it's definitely possible, right? So that about does it for our player submissions. Again, this is a world building, story building, character building sandbox game that I am playing from my character's perspective, but also there are characters on the roster that my character will engage with, interact with by way of AI and dice rolls to see. But also the people and the players in the audience who submit characters into the roster will have opportunities to submit actions on behalf of the characters to kind of mix it up a bit. So if that's anything that you're interested in, feel free to go to PND, peoplesanddragons.com, sign up for Mythic Master Rogue, free membership, and submit a character and partake in some events. The more the merrier, but that'll do. Stay tuned for day 8. We are approaching, the clock is ticking, and we are approaching the time where it's going, we are approaching the moment where we will need to face off with the hatred-imbued living stone that is located just south of the tavern and approaching us.